Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here. Let's jump over to our cosmic weather, see what we're dealing with today. Alright. Yeah, I know this is just astrology I'm talking about here. I use the term cosmic weather to summarize a variety of this type of esoteric science I'm talking about here. So, for those who are wondering, hey, this is just astrology, what's up with the cosmic weather stuff? It's because it's all part of the cosmos, and it's all part of the weather of life. Okay, so here we are today, the 23rd. What we have here is a void of course moon, which means we're between two signs, between Pisces and Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, Pisces the last sign. This is the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind below the surface. So we're going from water, emotions, to fire. And we look over to the right and it shows that that transition occurred at 2:13 a.m. So guess what? We are there. So alright, so now we are officially in Aries moon, and our sun sign is Virgo, so we got Virgo and Aries. So the two elements we're working with are the element of earth, which is Virgo, and the element of fire, which is Aries. Okay, so earth and fire. So just think about in life how you've worked with earth and fire before. Well, one of the things, let's say you wanted to make some ceramics. You would use the kiln. You would use that fire to heat that earthly product. Fire is ideas. Earth is the practical nature of things. So we're looking to bring the two opposites together, the idea and then what finally is manifest from it. Okay, the square that we see right here is between Pluto and the moon, which is Aries. So later this afternoon, we've got the Aries being the ideas. In the tarot cards, it would be the card of the Emperor, the pioneering, the one who puts forth the efforts. The Hebrew letter He has the meaning he who sets in order. So it's all about putting things in order, organizing, getting our mind together. And later on tonight, there's a challenge with Pluto. And a square means a challenge. It means that there's something that we have to get around, a blockage that is in our way, that we're not supposed to run away from, but a block that we're supposed to find a way to get through. And when we can get through, there's usually some benefit from it. We learn some lessons about ourselves. And here, this is Pluto, which is about deep transformation. Okay, because Pluto's way, way out there in space, and so if we think of our consciousness and imagine space as our consciousness, it's way out there in our consciousness. We got Pluto, something buried way deep. And so when that energy gets to us, we're dealing with issues that maybe we hadn't thought about for a while or didn't realize were there because they were so deeply buried. But nonetheless, we have to deal with them, and that's what the pioneering effort, that's what he who sets in order is going to do, is going to set those things in order. Okay? And over the weekend, we've got the Aries moon tomorrow, and on Sunday, it's going to be making that transition into Taurus. And then Monday, we'll be back with the Taurus as well. Alright, our moon phase here, you can see we're 92% of the way full. We're making our way back down to the new moon. This is called the waning moon. Waxing is up, waning is down. Mayan Oracle 10-tone day, which means we're right here. human. That's the kin for today. And kin is just a word with this system used instead of day. Just the kin. Every day is a kin. So kin is our relation. So every day we can relate to the day. We don't separate ourselves with this system from the day. We associate it with it. We say the day is one of our kin. And so the human is about free will. So that's what our energy is we're working with, the idea of the free will. And you've got the 10, which is about manifestation. So it would be the manifestation of free will. And the guide is the sun. Then you've got the hand, which is the like-minded energy. The wind, which is spirit, inspiration. That's our challenge for today. And then our hidden power is our ability to purify ourselves. Okay, and all together we look at this system here, and this phrase comes out of it is, I perfect in order to influence producing wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the planetary tone of manifestation. I am guided by the power of universal fire. And today is one of those galactic activation portal days. Because we can see right here. This is the same as over here, okay? Just got this pattern in here. Alright. We go over to spaceweather.com. Our solar wind has slowed down from the 500 range. Now we are into 472.9 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is between 3 and 4 at the moment. Our coronal holes have subsided a bit from yesterday, but nonetheless they are still there, sending solar wind out into the cosmos. M-class flare, X-class flare down. Geomagnetic storm activity is up to 45 and even 60% in the higher latitudes. We do have a couple of flares heading this way. It says 2 CMEs are heading for Earth. The plasma clouds were expelled from the sun on the 20th and 21st by a pair of erupting magnetic filaments. NOAA forecasters expect the CME to arrive sometime today, tomorrow. Alright, that's why we've got the 60% up there, we just saw. For a little bit more insight in this is Suspicious Observers and the report for today.
Good morning, folks. First things first, we have another Sundiving comet. This is indeed another one from the Kreutz family along the same pathway we just saw a Sundiving comet. This is something good to watch today. You'll remember the Arctic ice data page. To quickly review, around this time last year we saw a record low Arctic sea ice and a record high Antarctic sea ice. And you'll remember for the last few weeks, 2013 has been well below average, at least up north, but still nowhere near that record we were setting last year. Well, now the experts agree, saying that indeed the Arctic will not be breaking the records from last year in terms of ice mountain coverage. This video is from NASA, Goddard Scientific Visualization Studio, and it's linked below. You'll remember Taiwan and China on high alert for the second typhoon in a week. Pictures coming out of these areas put the Western world weather extremes into perspective. South of Mexico, the story stays. We don't expect a major event, but Baja, SoCal, and the Four Corners are going to feel this one big time. Top watch zone otherwise is Ireland and the UK. Power low almost crested, and I'm betting it's pretty hot east of that due to the northward drive in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. The sun has surely awoken. Primary eruption is seen at the right coming off the western limb. Beautiful in multiple wavelengths. This eruption actually dives southward on the heels of another eruption that is going due south. No chance of Earth impact, but at 2,000 kilometers per second, it would have been a kill shot potential. Lots of ejecta headed south over the last few days, including incoming CMEs, but we'll get back to that. The solar eruptions have been filaments, not flares. Just as quickly as the sun became peppered with spots, it's now in decay and turning back to X-ray quiet. The high-speed coronal hole stream may be waning as the density rises in turn, but we expect much stronger signatures as the two aforementioned CMEs expected to begin impacts any moment now. They combine with minimally open umbral fields, waning coronal hole influence, but the beginning of 48 hours of conjunctions between these four celestial bodies, and the watch score holds at 7 from last night. with Chile kicking things off this morning. Great shots of our star to close. Eyes open. No fear. It's 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right, very good. Thank you for that report as always. All right. So, this week, Nibiru. Okay, so by now you should have the gist of what Nibiru is. Okay, it's not really difficult at this point in time to go into telling any more of the story because you've heard it. Planet that's out there that comes into our solar system, and when it does, the stories say that there's chaos that's created. But now we need to address another issue. Is this real? And if so, where is Nibiru now? And are we going to be experiencing this in our lifetime? It would appear to be that that is the case. Now, we need to consider the possibility that maybe what we know and what we've heard about Nibiru is not actually correct. May be correct, but we have to consider the possibility. You see, there's this, let me just jump over here. Here we have this site, and I played a video from this woman the other day, Jalila, and I'm going to play some more today. She says, welcome to the official site of the Nibiruan Council, a multi-dimensional off-world council whose members are connected to the world, or to the people of the planet Nibiru and the Nibiruans, ancient ancestors and 90 Nibiruans. The Nibiruans' mission is to prepare humanity to take their rightful place in the greater galactic community. The Nibiruans are especially interested in assisting starseeds and walk-ins. Multi-dimensional ascension tools along with an accelerated program for DNA recording will prepare them to be teachers and way showers needed today. Jalila Star is the Nibiruan Council's messenger and channel. Through her articles, workshops, and lectures, the Nibiruan Council's message has touched the hearts of many people around the world, inspiring hope and understanding. So, I wanted you to have this page available to you so you can check it out, because this is presenting things a little bit different about Nibiru. This isn't presenting Nibiru as a destroyer. When you listen to her talk, as you will, she doesn't talk about it being a destroyer as well. She talks about, that there was destructions in the past, but she talks about timelines, and she talks about where we are in our timeline is that this time we're moving past a phase of destruction. We're not going to have to deal with that this particular time, and as you listen to her videos, you'll come to understand more about what she's saying. So what I want to do is I want to go over to play this first video of hers. It's called Who Are the Nibiruans? So we hear a lot about what is Nibiru, but this is a little bit more detailed information about who they are. So check it out. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. It's time for another update, and today I'm going to continue the series on Nibiru. Today we're going to be discussing the Nibiruans themselves, who they are and what they are. Now this is a multifaceted, multidimensional explanation, so just hang on to your seats. Alright, you could break the Nibiruans down into basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. I'm going to give you the overview and then we'll go into each one. They're 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional, 9th dimensional, royal bloodline, and member nation. Okay, starting with 5th and 6th dimensional. The Nibiruans are more evolved technologically than we are. They understand multiple realities, multiple timelines. They have technology far beyond anything that we can even imagine. We're just babes in the woods compared to them. We're just beginning to understand nuclear fission and quantum physics. They've had these for eons, millions and millions and millions of years. So they would be far advanced beyond us. The average Joe on the street in Nibiru would be the equivalent to our 3rd dimensional average Joe on the street. what I mean by that is somebody who is very mainstream, very non-spiritual, totally immersed in this reality, and they're not really concerned about anything spiritual. But yet, that average Nibiruan is far more advanced than the average human here on Earth. The sixth dimensional Nibiruan would be somebody equivalent to an individual who does pursue a spiritual path, some more farther along than others. And so that would be the equivalent to someone here on Earth who would be a well, you know, they would consider themselves a light worker and would be pursuing spiritual enlightenment. Then, as I understand, and this is based on the information the Nibiruans have given me over the years, they take a big leap up to what they call a ninth dimensional Nibiruan. A ninth dimensional Nibiruan is an individual who isn't technically from Nibiru. They live in a planet or ship, actually a ship, that orbits with Nibiru. And they are the ancient ancestors. They're on a totally different dimension. The fifth and sixth Nibiruans look upon the ninth dimensional Nibiruans as their spiritual guides and advisors. They would be in a non-physical form to the fifth and sixth dimensional Nibiruans, but because of their technology they can communicate with them. So the ninth dimensional Nibiruans are the spiritual advisors or guides. They come from another world in a different constellation, the constellations of Lyra and Alpha Draconi. They would be considered our they're Nibiruans' great ancestors. These are beings who have been around for a long time. They've seen worlds come and go. They see the bigger picture, and as a result of their experiences, they have learned to achieve the integration of light and dark. They live the consciousness of compassion. You would consider them a Buddha type level of consciousness. They are just very, very experienced. They are time travelers, time healers, time weavers, and they count the current fifth and sixth dimensional Nibiruans as their descendants. And because they work with them as a result of the Nibiruans' efforts in what they call the grand experiment of polarity integration here on Earth, they align themselves and go by the name ninth dimensional Nibiruans. So hopefully that didn't confuse you. Then you have within these levels of consciousness, you have a royal line on Nibiru that is the ones in charge of Nibiru itself. They govern their own world. And then you have what we call the member nations. Member nations are nations that developed over time, that grew from ambassadors and their families that originally came to Nibiru as part of this effort with a new galactic federation of worlds to create peace and harmony. It would be equivalent of a UN, and then you have ambassadors and their families move to a particular country, and over time those families develop into nations themselves. And we're talking millions of Earth years. So those ambassadors have developed into member nations that also inhabit the moons and planets that orbit the big red dwarf called Nibiru. It's like a mini constellation or mini solar system, actually, if you listen to my first video. Okay, so you have member nations, you have a royal bloodline, and you have 3 levels of consciousness. You have 5th, 6th, and 9th. All 3 levels of consciousness can be found in citizens, if you will, of the Nibiru collection or mini solar system. Okay, so when I speak to you of Nibiruans, I usually speak to you about the ninth dimensional ones because they were the ones who first contacted me back in 1993. They're the ones who channeled the book, gave you the formula of compassion to reactivate your thymus and recompile your 12 strands of DNA, because they're the oldest, most ancient, and there actually are ancient ancestors too. They were the ones who gave me a lot of the history of our race, of our species, our multiple species here on Earth, and and they helped to help me with the information in The Mission Remembered, which was their second book. The fifth and sixth dimensional Nibiruans I've communicated with early on in my mission, Anu, and in particular, and he helped channel the Earth history from his perspective, which was part 2 of We Are the Nibiruans. But for the most part, our website is based on information that came from the ninth dimensional Nibiruans, and whenever I channel an article, it will be from them. So hopefully this will help you understand who the Nibiruans are. In the next segment, we're going to be talking about the activities of the fifth and sixth dimensional Nibiruans in our ancient history and how they became our parent race and their perspective on mining gold and on disconnecting 10 of our 12 strands. So that should be an interesting one. Until next time, I'm Jalila, and you have a great week.
Okay, so as she just gave you an introduction of something else coming up, there's a lot of really good pieces that she has there, so check them out. I'm not going to be able to play them all because there's a lot, but good information. So there you go. That's something on Nibiru. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about her and got a little bit more in a minute. Stay tuned. UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alright, Dirk, thank you very much. Today's UFO News has 5 stories. Let's get over to them. Story number 1 comes to us from New York. This was at the beginning of the month on the 3rd. It says new footage of mass sighting above New York. Okay, a whole group of them here, as you can see.
I like a clean kitchen.
That's not it. Let's see here.
I make dirt.
Very, very heavy.
Alright.
Big enough or small enough?
There we go.
Some ways to make it easier.
There we go. Nice, good sighting right there of a triangle.
Some kind of a mopping device.
Pretty cool, huh?
There's a lot of dirt.
Alright.
Look at this.
So there you go. So that's over New York. Now this was over Santa Fe, New Mexico. This was on the 19th. Bright unidentified flying object across the night sky of Santa Fe. So there we go. Pretty good object. Next we're going to go over here to China. Now I know here in the States you're well familiar with all the sightings going on here, but here is a nice listing of the top 10 sightings in China. It says in 2010 many UFOs reported to have visited China. Many people think China is a new UFO hotspot, so we have taken a look at the first full year of UFOs that have little time to register with people and to be debunked. While some of these sightings were clearly misidentified conventional objects or explainable events, many remain a complete mystery. Residents were thrilled to spot the shining objects that flew faster than sometimes is supposed to, or just floated in the sky and disappeared in a heartbeat. Some were captured on video for further inspection. In the search box, type China UFO to see a full list of the video when available. We are of the mind that we are the so-called expert gives his or her explanation for UFO sighting. It's definitely not the end of the story. We have simply given them their best guess as to what they think it might be. So here we go. This was in Punjang, Xinjiang province, September 3rd. Diamond-shaped object there. Local media had a video clip of UFO sighting that promised the video was real. Okay. Then we had one in Hangzhou, Shenzhen province on July 7th. Okay, nice. Looks like something streaking across the sky there. On July 26th, nice little triangle, or what, 3 individual ones. This was in Leishan, Sichuan province, 26th. Jopqing, March 21st. Another couple of triangles. Over Hong Kong, September 8th and 9th. Luzhou, Guangzhou Autonomous Region, August 11th. From October 11th, we have Taiwan, Shaanxi Province. Number 8th was over Pingyo, Shaanxi Province, on the 22nd and 23rd. Good shot right there. And this one was here, number 9, was Baotou, Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. And here, last one, that's a pretty good one right there. This was like a missile type launch that they were saying. This is Ormqi, Xinjiang, Uyghur Autonomous Region, June 3rd. Okay? So there you go. Next story over here. Over to Taj Mahal. A UFO flew over the Taj Mahal palaces, according to some military troops and locals recently reported the Inquisitor. The world wonder has had an increase in such sightings recently, and with smartphone technology so common today, people are beginning to record. A most recent UFO sighting also conflates the story of what citizens along the India-China borderline have also seen. The videos of the Taj Mahal sighting can be found beneath. Here we get the video right here. However, many question its authenticity of the film, as it does not look convincing to some digital media analysts. Okay, I'm just going to show you. This is the image in question. You can click on the video and go look at it yourself. But here we got a small image of it up here if you can see. Alright, I'm going to move on. One more story. This is journalist PAOLA Harris lectures on the importance of human-looking ETs. On July 27, 2013, UFO researcher and author PAOLA Harris spoke to a meeting of Close Encounter Research Organization International, a group founded and led by the hypnotherapist and alien abduction researcher Yvonne Smith. The meeting was held in Thousand Oaks, California, a city just north of Los Angeles, and drew a packed house. PAOLA Harris is an Italian-American photojournalist and investigative reporter who has worked for many years conducting interviews with military government officials about their UFO knowledge and experiences, what she calls an extremely nuts and bolts approach to the subject. She worked as assistant for the Dr. J. Allen Hynek from 1980 to 86, and in 1997 interviewed and became a personal friend and confidant of the late Colonel Philip Corso, a military insider who went public with claims of back-engineered alien technology. Her credits also include bringing major figures in ufology to Italy to speak, such as Travis Walton, Nick Pope, and the late Dr. John Mack. She has recently launched a new nonprofit association called Starworks Italia, which will continue her efforts to bring top-flight UFO speakers to Italy to promote disclosure and exco-political dialogue worldwide. Harris says it is rare for her to investigate cases of claimed contact with extraterrestrials, but the cases she spoke of in her lecture were nonetheless compelling that she felt that they deserved further scrutiny. Two of the primary contact events she covered in her talk took place in Italy, about which more later. Okay, she began saying UFOs are important, the most important subject in the world, but also the most hidden. It's not science fiction, she declared, it's science fact. This is not Disneyland, this is the history of humanity. The visitations we've been having. And she goes on, she talks about the various human-like ETs and why it's important that, we understand the variety that's out there. Continuing the theme of human-looking ETs, Harris said that the Florida events she sponsored in 2013, the 7-year-old girl named Anna sat in the front row. Anna said that she had a sighting and met a being that looked like a regular person, a blonde-haired man. She was moving other children to the craft, and the beings examined her arms and elbows and saw how the children's muscles work. Harris said she is working on a book called Anna and Her Extraterrestrial Friends, adding that if disclosure doesn't happen in our generation, it most certainly will in the next one. Alright, so there you go. The links are all going to be available, firstcontactradio.com. That is our UFO news for today. Stay tuned. I have more. I'll be right back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
I'm back. So what we're going to continue on with is a little bit more information about Nibiru. Okay, so the question I said was, where is it? That's the question. People are looking for it, and of course, whenever there's a video that comes out or a picture, there's instantly those who want to debunk it, as if they've got nothing better to do in life than always to debunk these things. But the reality is, there have been people taking pictures of what they believe is a second sun or this Nibiru for some time. So we need to consider the possibility that this is real. You know, we live on a planet where there's a lot more skeptics, it appears to be, than those who are willing to be open-minded about such subjects, so we can't really take the word of the skeptics. And when all those who jump up to debunk, we can't really take their words either. We have to use our common sense, we have to look at it and decide for ourselves. So, this video here, I want to show you some of this here because this here is a picture that was taken. I'm going to let the video play momentarily. Picture that was taken from an airplane, and what he captured here was a conjunction between three planets, Mercury, Venus, and was it Mars? He'll explain in a moment. And the interesting thing is there was another object that you'll see here that is not either one of them. This is the conjunction he's talking about. In the video he's going to show you that this conjunction matches a star map, so you can see what's here, and then you will see right behind the sun here another little object that is not on any of the star maps at all, which brings up the question, what is it? Okay, so let me just jump in here.
Starry Night Professional and the raw file data from your camera, I found that you actually photographed a rare conjunction of three planets: Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus. Jorge, given that you did not image Planet X in this particular photo, let me ask you, was the effort worth it?
I think it was really worth it.
Now, that's the spirit, Jorge. You know, on our team, our motto is, believe nothing, observe everything, and leave no stone unturned, and we did that with your images and found something rather surprising. This image you took below the equator not only shows a rare conjunction of Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, but one that is consistent with the many stories we found about this conjunction event on popular astronomy websites. In other words, Jorge, this image is irrefutable proof that you took it at that time and at that altitude over the Pacific Ocean. And so it was this image that put us on the path to an amazing discovery in one of the earlier images you captured during this same flight. Before we share that with the viewers, Jorge, I'd like for you to explain to them what you learned about taking pictures through the clouds at high altitude.
Well, this is very interesting, Marshall, because eventually I found that the clouds act as a filter, as a natural filter in order to control reflections.
Thanks for sharing that, Jorge, because you really hit the ball out of the park. Not below the equator, but rather 4 degrees above it, and at an altitude of 37,000 feet. So let's take a close look at where Starry Night Professional places Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus. Keep that conjunction in mind, because in this image we find Jupiter and Venus exactly where Starry Night says they're supposed to be, but no Mercury. Then again, it's not the brightest bulb on the tree, so to speak. But what is that bright dot near the sun? Let's take a closer look at that. And yes, there is something there close to the sun, and it is not where Mercury is supposed to be. So, are we experiencing a technical fluke? Necessary question. With that in mind, I went back and double-checked my settings, and they were fine. And so, yes, we've got Jupiter and Venus pretty well nailed down, but we're still drawing a blank on that mystery spot near the sun. Okay, now it's time to do a camera sensor analysis, CSI, and we'll start with the two objects we're certain of, Jupiter and Venus. As we see, there's plenty of natural foreground illumination for both. So, it's 2 thumbs up for Jorge. With this in mind, let's return to our mystery object. In this sensor analysis, we see a clear outline of Mercury, and for the record, no way would I have ever expected to be able to see this in any HD smartphone or cell phone image. It's just too subtle. But what I can say is, thank you Nikon, thank you Nikon, thank you Nikon. This is the difference 16 megapixels and a good lens can make. And it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And there we go. Mercury just where Starry Night told us it would be. So now, that's 3 thumbs up for Jorge, because we've nailed Mercury as well. But there is still one stone unturned, the mystery object near the sun. So let's go for broke and do a camera sensor illumination analysis. And once again, I must say thank you Nikon, because I never expected to see anything this close to the sun that could generate anywhere near this amount of foreground illumination. At this point, we know that we have a hot object, but what gets me is a hot object this close to the sun with this much foreground illumination. What am I really looking at? Well, getting the answer to that is pretty straightforward. It's what I call a gamma step-down test. The step-down begins with a default gamma value of 1.0. There you methodically step it down to see how hot your objects really are. And we see that while Venus is hotter than Jupiter, it too falls by the wayside. But our mystery object just keeps going on, all the way down to 0 gamma. Only 2 things can punch through with clear definition and the same bluish halos: our sun and its smaller companion.
All right. So there you go. So, all right. So that gives you a little idea of what's being seen up there. These are pretty recent pictures. I think that's pretty good what was shown. Okay. Now I want to go back over here, and this is some more of Jalala, and I'm going to just play a little bit. This is another video that talks about the Nibiruans' agenda. Okay, so let's take a look at this briefly. We're not going to listen to the whole thing. I'm just going to get you started.
Hi there, I'm Jalala Starr, and today I'm going to continue the series on Nibiru, and this will be the final segment. And what I want to talk about today is the Nibiruans' agenda since their contact with me back in 1993. At that time they began work on what we call Project Earthshift. And of course the first phase in their work on Project Earthshift would be to prepare someone to be their spokesperson. And so we began 3.5 years of intense emotional clearing. Isn't that something? They didn't start by telling me who they were. They came across as just spiritual guides. They spent 3.5 years cleaning out emotional debris before I could even begin the work that I came here to do. And you know, that's the interesting thing about the Nibiruans. I think if their agenda was anything other than trying to help us, they would have started in trying to teach me all the mental, what I call the multidimensional candy, all about our history, all about Nibiru, what they were like, all the things that I absolutely love. And they wouldn't have even been concerned about it, preparing me to become the kind of person who could fulfill the duties and assignments that had to be done. Well, the Nibiruans, their Project Earthshift was about the final phase of their efforts as a parent race to help us achieve our divine mission, which is to become a seed race that can achieve compassion and populate the galaxy and bring peace to the galaxy and the galaxies beyond ours. And there's a reason for that. And there's a lot of drama going on. Because you're at the end of a universal game, or the potential end of a universal game. And so the extremes of light and dark have become more extreme, and as a result you see conflict everywhere, which is normal. And the idea is now we must find our way back to the middle ground. And so as above, so below. As if we're experiencing all this conflict on Earth, then you can imagine what's going on out there. Okay, so the things that they began to teach me in emotional clearing were about past life regression, they said. And I'm not going to go into too much on all these because there's so much to cover. They taught me past life regression. They sent me to someone to teach me about behavior patterns and how to trace a behavior pattern back to the core belief that's creating it. They taught me about the temperaments, the different types of temperaments. They taught me about how inner child work, about working with guides. And then they went beyond that and taught me how to travel timelines, or what is now called remote viewing, because they said when you do emotional clearing, you can clear for the planet that you're on now and the lives on that planet, but remember the soul's been many, many places, so you have to be able to clear all the way back to other planets and other events on other timelines. So I learned to travel timelines. So all that was done in the 3.5 years, just preparing me to even begin the work that I came to do. So in 1995, at the very end of 1995, they revealed to me my true identity, and then we began a lot of the galactic work. In that, they taught me DNA recoding, accelerated DNA recoding to recompile DNA, the other 10 strands, so that I could communicate with beings beyond Earth even more effectively, and bring my psychic abilities to a higher level. And then after I did that, they began giving me the formula of compassion, which they were giving to me in pieces through the DNA recording process, but I wasn't able to really, you see things in hindsight. So I was able to write down the formula after I had completed it, and then I posted it on our website so that everybody could have it. They said make certain that one goes on the website for the world to have.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the rest for you because there's a lot. Very interesting, right? So it's different than what you've heard in the past about Nibiru. Just kind of to wrap things up that we've talked about all week. Look, there's a lot of things we could be fearful about. There's a lot of videos out there on this subject that I could have brought up that particularly talk about this fearful aspect, the cataclysms and everything. Okay, in the past they have happened. They have. But we were told through our books that such things, such floods and occurrences weren't going to happen to us again. Okay, we've been given that information, that assurance from God. We get the rainbows to show us that. We've been told by those like Nostradamus, who's channeled through, that the timeline that we're on doesn't have to be a timeline of destruction. It's all up to us. We hear from the works of Dolores Cannon where she talks about how our Earth is splitting into there's these different Earths that we are pulling to, and we're either going to stay with the third dimensional Earth or we're going to rise up depending on which way our consciousness is going to go. We've heard of stories of the Celestine prophecy, which talk about just this disappearance of people. We hear the stories of rapture. There's something going on. And I tell you, from me to you, in my heart of hearts, I totally believe that we are going to be okay through this process. I think there's going to be some challenges, but I don't believe that we are going to go through a major cataclysm. I believe that this is an important period of time. Some will experience cataclysm because that's where their consciousness is. That's what they want to experience. But there are many of those who don't want to experience that, who understand that we've been through these experiences before. So now we have an opportunity to not repeat the same history we repeated. And the key to this that we're told is love, that we need to stay in a place of love during these times, through this transition. So what have we got to lose? Let's stay in that place of love. Let's do the best we can, because the words, the messages all point to there's a very positive thing going on. It's not the destroy the earthlings kind of thing that you are getting. Because those extraterrestrials, those beings that we hear about that are problem makers, a lot of them are already here down on this planet, part of your governments and part of your systems. That's why you feel the enslavement and the problems that they're creating, because they're not here to do good. They're here to help their own species, their own race. More will be unfolded. I think David Icke's right on to something, and we've heard his stuff. So anyway, we're going to be okay. We just have to stay in a place of trust. We have to just get in touch with the earth and believe that this process of change is necessary. Because otherwise, what do we believe? That the great creator creates something and every so many years, smack, that's it, it's over? No, it doesn't work that way. There's an evolutionary process, because if every time a civilization got to a certain point you wiped them out, well, there would be no civilizations evolving. So the very fact that there's other races out there that have evolved means that they have been allowed to exist past the point of time that we are at. They have been allowed to evolve, and as they've evolved, they're now here reaching back to help. In the same way that one day we will reach back to help others who are making their way out of the lower dimensional realms. Okay? So we just need to trust. I know that we're going to be okay. This is something that I'm here to talk about. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us here that are here to talk about this. And by simply going into our memory banks, we can remember. We can remember. Just like Jalela's remembering and communicating, and the channels that you hear. There's many down here who are aware of what's going on. So it's not like it's a secret. It's not like there's only one person or a few. There's a bunch. We just need to trust what we know. And we just need to hold that love vibration and the light, because there's a lot of people who are afraid and they don't know what's going on. And for all of those, we need to hold the light and everything to keep them protected and keep them safe and help them rise up. That's the purpose, okay? Helping each other. Helping each other. Very important. All right, let me move on here to our next story. This one was pretty cool. This is a Ohio man revives 45 minutes after his heart stops. A man who was declared dead when his heart stopped beating for 45 minutes suddenly revived and has stunned doctors who can't find an explanation. The man credits his faith. The presumed dead diesel mechanic, Tony Yali, was being prepared by nurses to be seen by his family August 5th when he began to show signs of life, the doctor said. He awoke fully in the hospital 5 days later. 57-year-old Carrollton resident had been a topic of conversation since his cardiologist told him. He says, in 20 years, I've never seen anyone who had been pronounced dead and then for him to come back. I've never seen it, as Dr. Nazir told the Dayton Daily News. Actually, I've never heard of it. Pretty cool. So, things going on in the world, science can't explain. Many, many mysteries. It's part of the coolness of life. Now, here is Ancient technology, 1600-year-old goblet shows that Romans were nanotechnology pioneers. Here's the cup, same goblet. The colorful secret of the 1600-year-old Roman chalice at the British Museum is the key to a super-sensitive new technology that might help diagnose human disease or pinpoint biohazards at security checkpoints. The glass chalice, known as Lycurgus cup because it bears a scene involving King Lycurgus of Thyrus, appears jade green when lit from the front, but blood red when lit from behind, a property that puzzled scientists for decades after the museum acquired the cup in the 1950s. The mystery wasn't solved until 1990 when researchers in England scrutinized broken fragments under a microscope and discovered that the Roman artisans were nanotechnology pioneers. They'd impregnated the glass with particles of silver and gold, ground down until they were small as 50 nanometers in diameter, less than 1,000th the size of a grain of table salt. The exact mixture of the precious metal suggests that the Romans knew what they were doing. An amazing feat, says one of the researchers, archaeologist Ian Freestone of the University of College London. So again, something else that surprises our scientists. Do you notice a trend that when we have near-death, people coming back from the dead or UFO experiences or planets found, we have more and more scientists and more information coming out that our science community doesn't know how to deal with or understand such topics or understand how these things are happening, because we've taken ancient man and we've put him in a box and saying ancient man was a caveman who had no technology and no intellect. Well, that's not true. There was much more technology before this particular time. They just had different cataclysms. They went through problems and challenges, so things had to start over. But there was much more technology on this planet Earth than we have right now, and we need to consider that and be much more open-minded ourselves. Right? Now, here we have an article. It says, how to calm the overactive mind. Very important to be able to do that, because so many times the mind is racing all day long from all the information we get, all the stimulation. It says, have you ever laid in bed trying to sleep while constantly thinking, having a stream of thoughts flow through your mind? Do you perpetually think about random thoughts throughout the day? According to the law of attraction, you will receive what is predominantly on your mind. If your mind is producing chaotic, non-random thoughts, then this is what you will attract in your life. Even in the dream world, your predominant thoughts and worries will become reflected. We have been indoctrinated into a society that places the ego and materialism above everything else, so many people end up thinking about these things and how they were being perceived by others. Our self-perception has been hijacked by the mainstream media, who portrays fictitious characters leading to make-believe lives which make people feel they should be living. It is estimated that approximately 75% of the population are extroverts, and virtually all television programming is geared to reinforce the all-about-me persona while deterring people to look within for answers, which is the key trait of an introvert. Okay, and then, so we hear all the stuff, but let's go look at the solutions, because we know what the problems are. 12 ways to calm the overactive mind. Eliminate the clutter. The easiest way to eliminate the clutter is to eliminate the clutter. What are the themes of your overactive thoughts? Many of these thoughts are related to money issues and your economic subservience to the system of control. Perhaps it's time for a change of jobs or to find the job that truly love to do. The easiest way to determine is to ask yourself, if there was no such thing as money, what would I be doing? Another thing, stop watching TV. TV is the biggest form of mind control and plays a large part of what we think and how we perceive life. 3, meditate. Helps to calm the mind. 4, remove the ego. Many people will live their lives entirely never knowing who they truly are while pretending to be what society expects them to be. 5, your body is your temple. With what you eat. GMOs aren't very helpful, so pay attention to that. Exercise helps the body, keeps you calm. Escape time. We all need to get away. We need to get away and have fun. We need to learn to let go of the control of everything. Start a journal or dream diary. Learn to live in the now. Connect with nature. Very, very simple things. An overactive mind is a sign of imbalance and can be corrected, but one must want to see the change within themselves in order for this to occur. There is a saying, as within, so without. If your body needs rest, then do so So does the mind. If your mind is constantly processing activities, events, and possible scenarios, it will resist sleep by continuing this process, despite your body telling you that you are tired. This is why it is so important to listen to your body. Alright, so there you go. And our angel message for today is: you have a natural gift for teaching, helping, or parenting children or adults who have had a difficult childhood. Alright. And moving on here to our message for today. This is the Archangeloi of the Elohim. There you go.
Beloved ones, we are here with you as you now move into position in order to walk through the gateways that are now opening. These gateways are the dimensional timelines that are accessible through the universe of three in truth. As Mother Earth now has begun to find her balance and remembered how to breathe, then she is able to provide the stability required of the host planet. This stability will see that which is often termed impossible begin to unfold around you and through you. For you are vast beings of light. As you release and let go of the 3D Earth paradigms and the frequencies that have kept you chained to the lower dimensional timelines, then you gain access to these new higher dimensional timelines and realities. We guide for clarity that this has never been attempted before in your human physical form in your waking reality. Many of you may be experiencing various physical symptoms, and we guide for you to allow all to flow. Do not allow the logical human mind to try to teach that you are ill or that all is not well. You are merely physically adjusting to being in a new vibrational space. The connections to those around you will now intensify, and it is vital that you begin to find balance and to detach from the lower dimensional timelines fully. This may provoke many reactions from those around you who are unaware of the vibrational changes that are now anchoring upon and within Mother Earth. Trying to readjust to their lower energetic signatures is of no servitude, for this will prolong the leaving process that many of you are now entering. The walk through the new dimensional timeline doorways at all times is guided by your soul. Some of you may go into various different dimensional timelines that overlap briefly with what is dissolving. This is to ensure the smooth transition from one reality to another. This is needed at a human conscious waking mind level so as to cause as little discomfort to the human vehicle as possible. This may be reflected in your outer waking reality as others becoming more supportive or moving from you. There will no longer be any middle ground, as the frequency ranges are now too far apart to accommodate this. For those of you who are on accelerated ascension timelines, in order to further help from within the human race, you will now find the expansion of all to be of benefit. Viewing the world as the frequency and vibration that it is in truth will allow you to circumvent many of the holding patterns that are available as a respite from the acceleration. Let us confirm this further for you at this time. There are many different 3D overlays that are created at this point. All 3D overlays work to serve those around you and not you necessarily. This is to allow for the flow of those who are here to serve at higher levels to move into place. So very human scenarios are created around them in order to allow them to be in certain places at certain times. We wish for all to become more mindful at human conscious waking mind level of the 3D overlays in order to help them make sense of all that now unfolds around them and through them. All is in transition at this point. There are no final resting points to be established until transition fully to the new Earth and the chosen dimensional timeline has been reached. This may show as chaos or upheaval, and we guide for you to find and maintain balance as much as possible. Viewing everything beyond the human experience is the key to working with these energies. At a human society level, there will be announcements that can only be made now that Mother Earth has achieved her balance in the universe of three in truth. The disclosure process will now expand and deepen as all now move into place and begin the process that will see the human race reunited with all in truth. We draw your human conscious waking minds to the astrological alignments that are due to take place in your waking reality, and we draw your attention to the sacred geometrical shape of Metatron's cube. We ask for you to anchor this shape in each energy center within your human vehicle to allow the unlocking of further coding that you birthed into and within upon incarnation into the human race. These codings will become fully active and live over the coming linear days in your waking reality. We place the coding of 333 within the heart space of all at this time, and we ask for the cellular memories to be reset to the original blueprint of the human race. As you work to come into balance, you are now preparing to receive the coding that will be unveiled upon the planet by our human emissaries, who are being energetically prepared to activate these new codings and blueprint. All is not as it appears to the naked human eye upon planet Earth, and we guide that you are now in the process that will see you understand your origins and your creation in truth. We are the Archangeloi, and we walk with you at all times. We have always walked with you, and now our human emissaries will begin the work to align heaven on earth as in heaven, for all are one and all are in truth.
Very, very nice. All right. That is our message for today, which brings us to our meditation. So you can definitely see something's going on out there, right? Something is definitely going on. Change is happening, positive change. So we can either ignore it, or we can understand and be a part of it. I think that's the key, right? We want to be a part of this change. This is what we're here for. All right. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. All right, I want you to imagine that you are looking at a large screen, a monitor showing you the history of planet Earth. And as you see the history of planet Earth, you see times and cycles that have gone by. And you see times of great cataclysm, civilizations that have come and gone. And you realize that this is part of the nature of life, that life doesn't end. And so what we see is not necessarily what is happening. And as we recall those moments and the change and the transitions and the cataclysms that have occurred, we think about this present moment and we realize that all of those cataclysms and problems were of the past. That we don't have to repeat those same issues. That we don't have to get caught up in the same disasters. So we attune our mind to seeing ourselves moving past the problems. We look at all of those images of those disasters and we imagine like a crayon in our hand scribbling all over them until they no longer look like anything that they looked like before. And once we eliminate that old pattern, that old vision of disaster, let us replace that vision with one of success. Let us see our planet moving cyclically around where it needs to be. Let us see Nibiru passing along safely. Let us see ourselves communicating with beings who have come down in ships, sharing wisdom. Let us understand the nature of the love that they have to offer and the light that they have to share. And let us be open-minded to know that the stories that the world leaders tell of alien invasions are not true. That the concerns about those who are here to help us are unfounded. And as we open our mind to understand, we realize that there are many, many, many star nations who have our best interest in heart, in mind. And as we extend our love and light to the cosmos, we signal to them that we are stepping up our consciousness out of the darkness. So let's imagine now sending love all around the planet. Love, light. And let's imagine as it goes through, this light cleanses out all of the old patterns and the ways that people are holding on to. Let's imagine all of this love and this light cleanses out the fear, and we just see all of this fear rising up out of everybody. And as it does, it gets transformed into love and just dissipates into the cosmos to be recycled again. And let's just imagine what the world would be like if we all sat in a place of love, positivity, and if we knew everything was going to be okay. So let us go forth this weekend sending out that love. Let our subconscious mind continue on that journey of sending out love, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. There you have it, my friends. That is it for the week. Thank you for being here. Look, we're going to be okay. We've got some challenges. We've got some growing pains we're going through. But we're rising up. That is the promise. That is what all of the information, the prophecy has talked about, preparing us for this moment in time. So let us be excited about what's ahead of us. It's not the ending of something, but the beginning of something new. Great times are ahead of us, my friends. We just need to be open-minded and positive to understand what is there. We're stepping further into our divinity, and that's a good thing. I'll be back on Monday. Y'all have a great weekend. Love ya. Peace. I'm out of here.